You are listening to part 2 of episode 38 of the Psychotherapist Podcast. In this part of the episode, Sir Bobbert and I discuss dumb online entertainment such as the YouTube channel Demolition Ranch, which is a phenomenal channel. You should check it out if you like seeing guns and explosions and silly stuff like that. We discuss medieval public executions and how they were probably actually a lot of fun. And we also discuss how a double-barrel shotgun is your really only one and true best friend. The only friend you'll need. Take good care of it, and it'll take good care of you. This is the Psychotherapist Podcast. Thank you for listening. Peace out.
A year ago, my daughter was willing to go with me. We were just going to try it, just for the heck of it. Mm-hmm. We never did it. It's still on my list of things to do, though.
Yeah, man. Have you ever heard of Demolition Ranch?
Demolition Ranch?
Yeah, it's a YouTube channel.
No.
So, it's a channel I watch every now and then when I'm just, bumming out. And it's a guy who just does a lot of dumb shit with guns on his ranch. So, for example, I saw a video the other day where he was seeing how far gun recoil could push him back in a quote-unquote frictionless environment. So they got him on a little harness so his feet's off the ground, and he's just target shooting while, in that position. And, some of the guns, they got out a ruler, and some of the guns barely did anything, and then others, pushed him back, 2 feet or whatever. And he's just kind of like a dumb redneck, and he'll do funny, silly stuff like that. And I actually, he'll take comment suggestions and stuff. I'm gonna pitch to him healing salts, because he'll be like, how many jars of peanut butter can stop a bullet?
Right, got it.
He's that kind of guy.
I was thinking this is taking place in a lab, but then you said he's like some kind of redneck who will, swing from a tree or do whatever he needs to do to test out these theories.
Oh yeah, he did a really, really goofy one where he was, he set up all these tubes to see if he shot into the tubes, the bullet would follow the tubes or just punch out the side. And they got curvier and curvier, and it was fucking ridiculous, bro. How much that bullet could actually stay in the tube and just follow it and hit the target on the other side.
Wow.
After going through 20 feet of pipe or what the fuck ever.
That is pretty amazing.
Yeah, so a lot of just dumb, goofy redneck science stuff, but I'll see if I can get him to shoot some healing salts. See if that would be a good thing to stock up on for the apocalypse as a sandbag alternative,
Yeah. What is the station called?
Demolition Ranch.
Demolition Ranch. Mm-hmm. And it's on YouTube?
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
Yeah, okay. I think I almost feel like I missed out as a kid on Mythbusters, because from what little I saw, all they do is blow shit up, and I'm all about that.
Yep. Well, if you watch that show that they do on MTV, the skateboarder hosts the show, where they show people doing crazy things. You get a fair amount of that stuff, people doing a fair amount of crazy things.
Yeah.
What's that show called? I forget the name of it.
You've mentioned it before, but I can't remember. But it's the guy who was on the Robin Big show, and he's kind of scrawny little white dude.
Yeah. He was on what show?
Robin Big, where it was just him and his 400-pound bodyguard.
Oh, okay.
And their kooky little adventures.
Right. Was he also on the show with those other guys, those other sort of comedians or whatever they are, who do crazy things? Sort of, what was the movie?
Jackass?
Jackass, yeah, that's it. Yeah, sort of Jackass stuff.
Yeah. Man, that's just good old-fashioned comedy right there.
Yep.
Just fucking torturing people.
That's physical comedy at its purest.
At its purest. I wonder if that's how people saw Public Medieval Tortures at the time, was just a comedy show.
Interesting.
I'm kidding, I don't mean that.
Well, there are actually social science experiments, that look at that. They'll look at, show different scenes and look at people's reactions to them, like a nice scene of some ducks on a pond, and that sort of like that. Another scene of some ducks on a pond and some guy starts picking them off, and then they show the person's reaction to it. And I think they did some of that in Clockwork Orange. They used that sort of approach. Do you remember that movie where they were watching violent imagery?
Yeah, I've seen that movie like 4 times. Yeah, they very intentionally wanted to drug him and associate this sick feeling with the images of sex and violence that he was obsessed with.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Can I just share real quick before we move on, quick fun historical story about so Dan Carlin did a 5-hour podcast on public executions, and there's just this one story I adore so much. It was somewhere in medieval England, and some dude in some English village was on his way to the gallows. And apparently in this village, it was just a time where they had this thing where sometimes they would take the condemned and walk them through town and take them bar hopping and go tavern to tavern and get them wasted and whatever. And the guy who's condemned, takes a drink, walks out of the bar. On the way out, he calls to the owner, "Don't worry, I'll pay you on the way back."
Yeah.
And the crowd goes wild.
Oh man. And this took place in medieval times?
Yeah, medieval England, I think it was.
Okay. True stories?
I believe so, yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Fucking, man, imagine just, God, comedians, yeah. I mean, imagine if a comedian was being executed and they just let him riff.
Yep.
For a few fucking minutes. This would be a great bit. Yeah.
I saw one of those, it was on one of those streaming channels about, game show payoffs. People get paid off big time to do these game shows and how corrupt they are. And it was interesting because there was a common theme to some of them, and that was that they put these people up in really nice hotels and take them to really nice restaurants and stuff. But there's usually one producer in the group who has to keep an eye on their alcohol intake.
Mm-hmm.
And has to, notice if they're drinking too much, shut them off. Tell them, no, you have to stop drinking right now. We need you sober tomorrow. Not hungover tomorrow, not drunk tonight. You can drink all you want after we do the filming, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd never thought of that, but this was sort of an accurate depiction. It just makes sense,
Yeah.
Some of these hillbillies, especially, free booze. Are you kidding?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh Lord Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Put this one in parentheses. Probably take it out of the. Well, you can keep it in, but it's not that interesting. Other than because I can't talk enough about it. But last night I saw some movie on. I caught parts of it. It was on Peacock, and it was a movie about mostly younger people in your demographic, basically. And it was taking place in Russia. So it had a lot to do with Russia spying and, Russia torture and things like that. But it was very current. Thematically, it was very current. So I didn't see enough of it to know how it started or where it's going, but I just found it interesting. I can't think of the name of the movie either, but I'll text it to you if I see it again. I just caught it by chance, but it had some pretty interesting visuals, and some of the stuff they were showing was sort of current. I mean, you could relate it to what's going on now in terms of how Russians spy and what they do and how they do it. They do it pretty damn well, actually.
Do they outsource to China to sleep with Eric Swalwell?
Well, they had a lot
Well, I mean, Russian women are kind of hot, so, you know.
really hot. Because one thing that sort of made me interested in this one last night, because out of nowhere, they're all working in this place that used to be like the former KGB, and one department can't know what the other department is doing.
Right.
And basically, they one of the guys connected with one of the Russian girls. He was English, and she had that the black hair and the everything tattooed on her body kind of thing, and just very intriguing sexually.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, not a lot had. There was a scene you could barely see it, a minor sex scene, but that was just an ancillary part of the movie. But yeah, some of the Russian girls are hot. That's what Putin said. The Russian babes are the hottest.
Yeah, best girls in the world.
Yeah. Good Putin. Very good Putin.
The best Putin.
Yeah.
I had a thought, but I lost it. God damn.
All right.
Oh well. It's one of those days where I'm losing my train of thought every 5 seconds.
Okay.
But I was up pretty late last night.
Partying?
Partying, yeah.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's an alcohol-related memory loss, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, with my, score approaching this weekend, it just feels like the time to get a little fucked up.
Yeah. Who were you out with?
Me, myself, and I.
Okay. Small party.
Yeah, I mean, my mom and dad had guests over or whatever, so everyone was boozing.
Yep.
So I had a few.
Were you intermingling or just boozing?
I intermingled a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who were the guests?
Just, I guess, friends of my mom. They're from upstate New York, so I think you'd like them.
Okay.
Yeah, they seem pretty chill, and it's whatever. The only drawback is for me is occasionally having to do stuff to prepare, and like go out and get the dinner and stuff like that, and I can't smoke as much just because they're, it's been nice out, it's summer, they want to be on the porch, so I'm not going to be blowing smoke all over them like an asshole.
Okay, now your mother's mentioned these people. These people from up around Syracuse, right?
Not sure where specifically, to be honest. I just know it's New York.
Well, listen, Malcolm, I'm from upstate New York, but it doesn't mean I like everybody from upstate New York.
That is a really good point, but I think you might like these two.
Okay. In fact, there are a lot of screaming, flaming assholes from upstate New York who are very, I was probably an elitist in terms of thinking that these people were very constricted in their views. Mm-hmm. In many ways they are, but some of their views today look to me to be not so crazy. Some of the ways they view the world.
Like which ones aged well?
Which ones of all those people? What do you mean aged well?
Of those those things that they were right about, those ideas that aged well.
Don't trust the government.
But Bob, the government loves you.
Yeah, don't trust the government. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's always gonna age really well.
Yeah.
But what can you do?
Your best friend, is a double-barreled shotgun. Views like that,
I mean, I think a shotgun would be a lot better to me than any woman ever could.
Right.
Will not talk back. Can make a good sandwich with it.
Yep.
Heat it up, make it nice and toasty.
Yep.
I'm all for it. Speaking of which, I still haven't done a single thing to get a gun license. I probably should change that.
Well, it's not a bad idea. And I had one at one time and let it expire. and didn't renew it. And for certain reasons, I got rid of the gun that I had. And the reason that I had to get one in the first place was because of where I was living and the people I was an urban pioneer,
Mm-hmm.
and not necessarily an elitist by any means. And because I was working with youth groups, I wasn't friends with some of them. They saw me as the enemy. Oh, that wasn't my intent. I was very liberal, and most of the white people who lived in my community at that time were. But there was such a mistrust of, the police and people like us, community organizers, who were trying to get them to curtail their bad behavior, were seen as the enemy. So,
as long as we're talking about racial tensions, I heard, oh God, I cannot remember who it was last night, but I heard a really fascinating take last night about how, with the bus boycotts and Rosa Parks or whatever, this guy was talking about, like, instead of fighting to get to the front of the white man's bus, we should have just started our own bus lines.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
Right? Just never thought of it that way, but it just ties back to that old idea of just like plenty of groups who immigrated to America. They just had their own everything, basically, their own neighborhood, businesses, whatever, and it's just ours, and we're not gonna, pick for the fucking Yankee crumbs or whatever.
Exactly. And that's what made it work in a lot of ways too.
Yeah, because I don't know much about it at all, but I heard, the projects in the hood or whatever in, the 50s was actually really safe. Really wasn't that bad in the 50s.
They weren't destroyed yet. They hadn't been, people didn't, the more projects they built, the more, just like any part of society, the more of the more negative elements of that group showed up and came in. It was like, the cousin that you don't really want around, and there are a lot of those kind of cousins. So that, when people had an apartment or a place, they might have been good, solid people, but then they attracted a lot of baggage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the values weren't so great.
Yeah, and on top of that, you have the CIA unloading as many drugs and guns into the neighborhood as they possibly can.
Yeah. You've made trips to New York. Have you gone by, where you were driving block by block by block, all the high-rise buildings that are just ghettos, just parts of the ghetto?
Yeah,
You really have to see it. It's something it's hard to describe. Oh, they've tried to do it in movies and things like that, but to actually experience that is pretty weird.
Weird how so?
Well, you're driving down these streets, street after street after street, and all they are high-rise ghettos, high-rise buildings, bad neighborhoods, and all you need to do is look out the car window or the bus window, and you see the same stuff on every street, same street corner.
Yeah,
crap.
I know what you mean. I remember when I was looking to move to New York City, one of the bus trips I took there went through Harlem late at night.
Okay.
And the route they went through, I just looked out the window and was just like, why do I want to move to this dump?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, man. Speaking of unnatural living, have you heard about, I don't know if it's called Eon or Eom or something. Basically, Saudi Arabia wants to build